Good evening and welcome to the Philadelphia Cultural Forum on CCP TV, Community College of Philadelphia's Emmy-nominated educational channel. I'm your host, Kirsten Quinn, and tonight we have 5 special guests from Almanac Dance Circus Theater. The first is Ben Grimberg, co-founder of Almanac Dance Circus Theater, a physical performance-based ensemble in Philadelphia, PA. Ben is a graduate of the inaugural class of Pig Iron School for Advanced Performance Training. Since Almanac's founding in 2013, Ben has performed across 11 states for tens of thousands of audience members and students. He is the financial coordinator and board treasurer of Masher Space Co-op and a performer for one of our earlier guests, Red 40 and the Last Groovement. Ben also acts, directs, creates, and performs regularly for several Philadelphia-based theater companies. He's a freelance video editor, installation designer, and production director. Welcome, Ben. What a resume.
Oh, well,
it's amazing.
It sounds fancier than it is, but thank you. It's so great to be here.
It's so great to have you here. Yeah. You've done so much with your life already, or you're so young, you know?
I think it just sounds like that when you write it all down.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So how did you find the company? How did you found it, and why did you decide to do this?
Yeah, so we founded Almanac because Nick Gillette and I met as collaborators and classmates at the Pig Iron School for Advanced Performance Training, where we were kind of like the guinea pigs for that program, which is now a fully accredited MFA program. But we were part of the first class, and so we realized early on that we worked very well together. We, in our first trimester, made a piece that kind of just kept coming back because people asked us to perform it all the time. It was a really crazy vaudevillian romp called The Chase.
Nice.
And so we decided to start to pursue acrobatics together, just kind of on a whim. And then I remember what happened was when we were in our last year of school, there was an opportunity to apply for the Jumpstart program at Fringe Arts, which used to be around. And Nick, like, there was a random drawing to get a slot, and like Nick got a slot and I didn't. And Nick came to me in the hall and he was like, "Ben, do you want to make like an acrobatic piece with me?" And I was like, "Man, if I had gotten a slot, that's what I was going to ask you, if we could make an acrobatic piece together." So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so we just started making this first piece, which turned into about a 10-minute duet. And we worked on that for over a year and ended up getting selected to be Fresh Tracks artists at New York Live Arts. So we performed
pretty amazing.
that. Yeah, so it was great. And we brought on Adam Kerbel, who's another company member, to be a live musician, collaborator with us. And from there we said, you know what, this piece is so great, and we've set ourselves up for, you know, we want to do so much more exploration in this style of performing. So why don't we found a company and continue to be able to do that? So we did, and yeah, we've been going ever since.
You have, and you've been doing a lot of great stuff. And Pig Iron is a great training ground. I mean, I know a lot of people that have worked with them and who have gone to school with them. And the idea of devised work, our audience may not know that much about that. So could you kind of explain like what the process is for a devised piece, such as the ones that you do now?
Yeah, absolutely. So in traditional theater, or even in traditional dance, there's more of a top-down power structure. There's one person who's the director or the choreographer who's making a lot of creative decisions, and then these other people who are more interpreters who are saying, okay, I'm going to do what you tell me to do and interpret it. Whereas with devising, all of those roles of writer, director, and performer kind of coalesce into all members of the ensemble. So all of the pieces that Almanac has made have been made without a director, without an outside eye, completely collectively and from the inside. So what that means is we improvise a lot together, and then once we find things that we're all excited about and all seem to work, then we decide to do more research into them, to try them in different ways, to see how we can start to shape what was an improvised idea into something that can go into a full-length piece. And then composing together all of these different elements that we come up with through play into what ends up being a compelling or durable story or piece.
And it's, I mean, the ensemble work that you guys do in watching, you know, I've watched your work, is incredible, and you don't necessarily see that in traditional theater all the time, because you don't have the opportunity to be able to work together for a lengthy amount of time on a piece. You know, you sort of come together, have rehearsal, show goes up, and then, you know, and that's that. But for you guys, you're really taking the time to experiment and build on ideas and kind of let things coalesce. It's really, really cool what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that is something that's also really important for us as an ensemble that incorporates circus and actually very risky acrobatics into what we do. Because being able to work together for so long allows us to build enough trust to say, I'm going to stand on top of you, on top of someone else, and not like fear for my life when I do it, because I've worked with you guys enough that I trust that you're going to catch me if I fall.
Trust
you know?
is a big part of this, especially when doing acro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do a lot of acro when you were in Pig Iron, or did you expand on that after you left?
We definitely expanded on that after we left. So acrobatics is a part of the Pig Iron curriculum, but acrobatics is really this metaphor for like coming up against risks that you haven't taken before, and overcoming things that you don't think you're capable of. Maybe you are if you just go for it and you kind of like take a leap. And so we did some acrobatics at Pig Iron, but most of our training has come after that, both at the Philadelphia School of Circus Arts, and then a couple of residencies in Montreal and other places, and then really just watching YouTube videos and being like, can we do that? And like hours and hours of sweat in the studio trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Hopefully not too many injuries.
No, not too many.
Too many. I wanted to talk about one of the clips that we're going to be showing of a production that you did, Communitas. Can you give me a little bit of background on that and tell us a little bit of the story of that before we watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Communitas was our first piece that we made together, and the full-length piece really came out of this one duet that Nick Gillette and I made together, and we wanted to create a story or a way of performing, I guess, for us, where we could stay completely present in every moment and use these acrobatics as a way to do that. And in that presence and that relationship that we form, we found, you know, all sorts of different facets of the human experience, from you know, playing together, fighting, love and death, and all of these things that are explored. So when we wanted to create a full-length piece, we began to think of the full-length piece as the story of the foundation of a society. The word communitas means an unstructured society in which all people are equal. So we were really exploring that idea, trying to think about the stage and the performance as, what if this could be this ideal told through our own idiosyncratic language of acrobatics and dance about how a perfect society could look or could form. And so that was sort of our jumping off point. And then really we just allowed ourselves to play as much as possible during the process and during the performance of that show. So
fantastic. Yeah. Let's take a look at Communitas. masterful piece, and to see that it came from that duet, which we showed a clip of, and then for you to take that and run with it. And I think Communitas makes sense for Almanac, because you are creating this community that's an equal, you know, ensemble society, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk about a lot is that I think audiences are pretty smart, and you can't really lie about who you are on stage, especially when you're doing physical performance. And so, yeah, it's in some ways it's like it really is just about us being present and listening to each other on stage and the people we are, and we let that show. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You work with the Masher Co-op. How is that? What is that like?
Yeah, so Masher Space Co-op is a collectively run space for mostly new dance works, but new performance works of all kinds. That's in Kensington. And it's been around for 10 years. And it's really remarkable because I think it's unique in the city of Philadelphia and fairly unique in the country, because it is completely collectively run and operated. So it's artist run, artist driven. And so it allows us to use some of our volunteer time in exchange for having to pay for the space. So we have member owners of the co-op who each pay some money but also donate volunteer hours to the running of the co-op. And in that, we get a lot of really awesome administrative exchange between members. So if you were to join Masher, and you don't have any administrative skills, it could be a place where you would learn them for free and then start to take on the duties of running the co-op.
That's great.
And so I really think for young performance makers and for people who are interested in getting more skills, this model really works, because rather than having to go and pay for education or anything, you're getting it experience on your feet doing it. And we also work really hard to get grant funding and subsidies for some of our programs, which mean that it's really one of the cheapest places to rent space in the city, and especially for members. So if you're someone who has a performance practice that happens over long periods of time, it can really be a great place.
That's really wonderful, and a lot of people don't know about that kind of thing, so I'm glad that you share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be talking with some other members of Almanac, and they're going to be telling us a little bit about other performances. What are some of the ones that we're going to be talking about? Yeah,
I think we're going to be talking about Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes, which is our second really major work that we made, which premiered in June 2015 at Fleischer Art Memorial. And then a piece that we just performed last month at Reading Terminal Market, which is, we're hoping, like the germinating seed for our next full-length work, and that work is called Fountain Pedaling.
Fountain Pedaling.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ben, for being on the show. We're going to welcome some of our other folks from Almanac, and I really appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your very busy schedule. I know you're always busy. To come to CCP and talk to us, so thank you.
Thanks so much. It's so great to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
When we come back, our next guests will be Nick Gillette and Evelyn Langley. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now we have Nick Gillette and Evelyn Langley. Nick is a physical artist and educator who has been devising work since 2006. He is also a graduate of the Pig Iron School for Advanced Performance Training and is a member of Almanac. In addition to this, Nick is a former resident of New York Live Arts Fresh Tracks, as well as the Philadelphia School of Circus Arts. His latest endeavors include being Colgate University's 2016 Christian A. Johnson Resident Artist. Like Ben, Nick has had a hand in creating Almanac's Communitas, Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes, Nightfall, and The Fleecing. Evelyn Langley is a phenomenal dancer and artist who has performed everywhere from India to Maine. At Knox College, she studied dance alongside her self-designed major in religion and culture. And in Philly, she attended Headlong Performance Institute and has since been creating and collaborating within the Philly community. She is a new company member of the Almanac Dance Circus Theater. Please welcome Nick and Evelyn. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
We get to talk to you guys, too, which is great. We have a lot of wonderful people here to talk about the company and all the things that you guys do. So let's talk first about your training and how you came into this, into Almanac. And I'd also like to talk with you about community engagement, because that's a big part of what you guys do. And
Absolutely.
something that we haven't discussed yet. So whoever would like to jump in, it's fine.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, Ben and I we founded Almanac just out of the Pig Iron School. You'd spoken with him about like our first steps, and over the last 3, almost 4 years now, we've been continuing to just put our shoulder behind this project. As far as what comes next is always an interesting question. Like, but yeah, I feel like I've been a part of it all along the way. Yeah, it's been a great opportunity just to have a nice, like, artistic home where we can bring our ideas and like put them in each other's hands and kind of see what can we make out of it together that we actually, like, I wouldn't be able to see on my own.
Yeah, right. That's great. How about you, Evelyn? Because you're a new member to the...
I am a new member.
Yeah, it's great. What's it like for you? How's it been?
It's been really exciting. And actually for me, joining Almanac it goes hand in hand with the mission of community engagement, because that's how I initially got involved with all of these folks. I met Ben in Maine at a very special place called Bairnstow, where we were both young artists and residents, and we really connected as artists there. And I shortly after that program moved to Philadelphia. And since moving here, Ben, and by extension Almanac, has really become a family for me and invited me often to perform with them. Each year they host an event in the fall and in the spring where they show new works in progress, new experiments, and they also invite a lot of other artists, kind of create a mixed bill. And invite people out. It's a huge community event, and so I was often invited to perform alongside with them, and then slowly to kind of start creating with them. And yeah, I just kind of very nicely and kind of slowly drifted into learning acrobatics and contributing what I can as a trained dancer, what I can of my practice into the fold of what Almanac provides.
What kind of dance did you study before you came into Almanac? What were some of the types of dance that you've done?
Oh, all kinds. I grew up mostly training in ballet, and then learned modern tap jazz, and became really entrenched in postmodern dance, contemporary dance, and somatic-based practices.
What's that?
Somatic-based practices are a type of movement theory and practice that evolves from inside of the body. So instead of going to a class and seeing a teacher up in front and the teacher using their body in a specific way and using your own body to mirror that and to try to hit a certain shape or get your leg a certain height, it's a movement-based practice that is entrenched in anatomy and kind of learning the body's natural pathways and systems and trying to move from within, recognizing that each body is different and has different knowledge inside of it, and trusting that knowledge, not necessarily trying to all look the same, but rather to base the movement in sensation.
And sensation. I like that. I've never heard of it, so I wanted to know about that. Tell me about Almanacro.
Almanacro is every Sunday we get together and we have an open ensemble acrobatics gym. So it's geared towards kind of people who have curiosities around the same sorts of physical practices and creative drives that we have, and we want to make a place where people can first off just like see each other, just like get into a room with heads beyond our own. But also there's an element of like physical training, like how do we become stronger to be able to do more and more of what we love to do. There's an element of training and skill sharing, and particularly that we all come from very diverse elements of training. I think it's one of those opportunities that we can really learn from each other. Like we can, we've had, you know, our opportunities to teach to newcomers, like, this is what we do. We've had people come and say, like, hey, this is what I do. Like, do you want to learn some breakdancing? Absolutely is the answer to that.
Yeah.
And then also some just creative lab time. I feel like it's almost like it's an important part of any creative process, I think, to have kind of like an open, fallow field.
Yeah.
That there is a purposelessness to the play and creation.
Right.
Having the pressures removed of like, this is for the show, this is about showtime, actually is some of where our most generative work comes from. So all of that is open in the sense that people come in, it's free to go to, we pass the hat to cover the cost of the space.
Okay.
But outside of that, it's just part of the culture that we're trying to bring and offer as a service to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Being a movement-based artist, what does that mean to you as opposed to, you know, the traditional actor or dancer, or you know, what does that mean to you?
For me, I think it has to do with something Ben touched on earlier, that like the body cannot lie. The body cannot lie.
Yeah.
If there's an actor speaking words on stage, like, you can either choose to believe or not believe that, and if they're like a very skillful actor, of course a larger majority of people will be like, oh yeah, I think that is President Nixon, you're right, okay. Like, so there's an illusory nature to that, which sometimes we play with. We're getting more familiar and comfortable with that, but I think the physical practice of putting a body on stage, like, one of the things that we love to show is the nature of exertion, that this contact, this like physical touching is happening on stage in front of an audience. It has a feeling of like living presence that is unavoidable, because you can't phone it in. There's no way of achieving some of the shapes that we're bringing to a thing, especially the more intense acrobatic things. It draws your attention immediately to that moment, and I think that's, for me, like one of the most important elements that we like to really circle and highlight for an audience is like, this is happening now, it's irreproducible, it's going to be slightly different every time because it has to be done at the moment. So that's part of it for me, I think.
You've articulated that very well, because it's hard to put into words the physicality.
Spent a lot of time thinking about it. I guess.
No, I can tell. I mean, you really made it very clear to me, and I'm sure our audience as well. Tell us a little bit about the piece of, that we're going to be watching, Fountain Pedaling. Who is Fountain Pedaling, and how did that start? And
oh, wow, go ahead.
Well, Fountain Pedaling is a piece that is the first piece that I have been involved with making with Almanac in a formal way. And it's a duet between Nick and I. So the research behind Fountain Pedaling really began with Nick and I just base level figuring out, how do these two bodies, our two bodies, move together? And what kind of vocabulary evolves out of that connection? Because I come to this practice with more dance training, and he comes to the practice of Almanac with more actor training, improv training, comedy training than I do. This was really an experience to see how those two things meet and to talk to each other. So the vocabulary has come out of us improvising and experimenting together, and has evolved into this space opera acrobatic dance piece that is very earnest and bizarre. And
we love bizarre. CCP TV, we love it.
Very fun.
It was a fun surprise too. As part of the process, we had made kind of like the physical language, like the choreography was like starting to come out of the oven and cool and set. It wasn't actually until we added a design element. We raided Robin Stamey's closet. We were like, this dress actually, she has like such an eye for these things. But we found from actually like the color and shape of this one dress. We were like, you know what, this feels like a weird like Grecian space toga. And so we put it on and we danced with it, and we were like, this is the right thing. How do we take that seed and say like, great, now we have context. This is actually kind of in the evolution of like Almanac shows, I feel like this was the first time where we've really like allowed ourselves to kind of explore like what's the world this suggests. We then invited a musician in, Kujatanese, to push like the music of that and to have that exact feel kind of like become a more complete, considered piece. And then we added clowns in. So we did the first part of fountain pedaling, which was kind of I don't know if I would call it serious, but it was definitely like it was maybe a little like tightly held. And we put it in front of an audience as part of Evening of Duets. It was a mixed bill out in West Philadelphia in early February. And then we were like, we're gonna have to put it into this show we've been commissioned for, Fringe in the Market. It's a very different feeling to have, with Evening of Duets, it's like, you know, proscenium style, the audience is here to see a piece. It's a very different feeling to have people going about eating lunch, and we realized, what's the necessary connective element of what we've made to that audience? And the answer is idiotic clowning. So we added these like...
Isn't that always the answer?
You know what? It pulls so much. It's, we added in Joseph Ahmed and Ben Grimberg were the stage hands. We kind of pumped up our like characters of these like self-important prima donna like dancers, like D-A-N-S dance, like and then allowed that to kind of, again, like it's almost like it's never complete. It's like we can always find, if we keep it a little bit facile, a little limber, we can put that piece in whichever space we need to fit it into, just really with a consideration of how is this going to land in an audience's lap? What is that engagement that's possible?
That's so awesome. Let's take a look at fountain pedaling.
What are you doing? Unbelievable. Right, slowly. Right. Right. Place, check. And 3, 2, 1, go! Space! Deep space! part of it. It's part of it. Up there. Red. Green. Wait. Wait, musician cover break. 3, 2, 1.
incredible piece.
It's so wild.
The imagination that this type of stuff requires is just beyond the realm of understanding. I mean, I think and I love the fact that you incorporated, you took these characters, made them more like, sort of huger, and then brought the clowning into it. And, I liked hearing about the genesis of this, because in watching it and the audience watching it, they get to hear about where it started, but then they get to see what it is now, which, like you said, it could be flexibly changed at some point or another.
And this fall, we're going to find out where it goes. So this like space opera world is going to be a small seed that we're putting into the Fringe Festival. We're bringing in some collaborators. Chickabiddy is our musical artists. It's Aaron Cromie and Emily Schumann.
Nice.
And then Dan Rothenberg has agreed to kind of come in and,
cool.
In lieu of a director, we have an outside eye, just like a trusted source to see what we're putting on the table and reflect back to us what it's doing to them. So
that's great.
It's great to have those people in the room.
It's good to have, and it adds so much to the production to have technical elements, and then to have somebody like Dan there, who's the pig iron guru, to kind of look at it. It's very exciting what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. And thank you for being here. It's been great meeting you, Nick and Evelyn, and I wish all the best to you, and I'm gonna try and come out and see your work.
All right.
I'm really jazzed about it. It's really cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you. When we come back, Nick Jonzak and Robin Stamey will be our next guests. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now we have Nick Jonzak and Robin Stamey. Nick is a performer and freelance creative producer. He's also a production manager who graduated from Pig Iron's program, and he too performs with Almanac. He serves as production manager for the nonprofit Invisible River, as well as for the producing group 7 Engines, which we'll find out more about on tonight's episode. Robin Stamey is a freelance production manager, stage manager, and lighting designer, and has been with Almanac since Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes in 2015. She's a graduate of Arcadia University and has worked as a lighting designer and/or production manager for many area companies, including Azuka Theater, IRC, the Renegade Company, Hedgerow, and Tribe of Fools. She is a board member of Theatrical Trainer and co-founder of 7 Engines. Welcome, Nick and Robin. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
We're learning so much about Almanac today, and we're getting some new information from you from the production angle of things. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you work on with the various productions that these guys do? And I know that you guys are also a performer as well.
Yeah, I came on first chronologically between the two of us. So I joined Almanac when Nick and Ben needed a little bit more administrative help.
Okay.
This was after Communitas, as Leaps of Faith was starting its generative process, and they had a lot of really awesome, great ideas, and sort of just needed another pair of hands to help them put pieces into place.
Sure.
And so that's how initially I came on, and then so then my role for Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes was to help solve some of the logistic questions that we had, and to make sure that equipment arrived on time, and I to go out to drive to New Jersey to pick up lighting equipment. 1,500 pounds of lighting equipment in my small car. It works. I know. Is that all? So it's really getting your hands dirty in that way. And doing all of the pieces that need to be put into place in order for the thing to live.
Very important aspect of theatrical practice.
Yeah.
How about you, Robin?
I came on with Leaps of Faith just a couple months before it premiered as the production stage manager.
Okay.
Which was a little terrifying in my when I spoke with Nick and Ben about being the production stage manager. One of my first questions was, do you use mats? Do I need to make sure that we're prepared for that? And they said, no. Very terrifying
That's
for
a little
me.
Scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like we said before, they have infinite trust in each other and very little injury, if at all.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kept working with them. Now I am a company member, and I sort of lead the scheduling, the logistics, the sending of the emails, the meeting agendas, and things like that.
That's incredibly important, as the artists would attest to that. And so when you're working on the project, what is like the timeline that you have in terms of the work that you guys do for production? How does that operate?
Well, it all depends on what kind of performance we're making.
Yeah.
So if it's a full-length production, our development time can be 1.5 years, 2 years.
Right.
If it's a smaller piece, 6 months, 3 months, things like that. We also perform at events, corporate events, and opening of Fringe Arts registration and things like that. And so that is mostly just making sure everyone can be there and everyone has everything they need.
Right.
But our timeline can start very far back, and so we like to be as prepared for that as possible.
Yeah, because that's something we didn't talk before about, in terms of devising a piece. And I think, it's interesting for the audience to hear about. This is a really big endeavor. I mean, this takes 1.5 years to come up with this collaboration, and the way in which you create not just the movement, but also incorporating music, lights, sound, dealing with all those production considerations, the space that you're going to be performing in, or spaces that you're going to be performing in. It's a lot of work, and it's a long but very fruitful process.
Well, and I think for us, because lots of times our rehearsals are broken up into a particular rehearsal will be focused on skill building or on training a new acrobatic maneuver or trick or sequence of tricks, and then another rehearsal will be more focused on developing the dance narrative or the theatrical narrative, or what is the thing that's being layered over top of, or what's the connective tissue between all of these acrobatic moments.
Right.
So because of that layered complexity, it does take us a long time to develop things. And the other thing that I just want to acknowledge, because I think it's so important, part of what Robin does really is for touring, because we took Leaps of Faith on a tour to New England in July of last year after the premiere here at Fleischer Art Memorial, and then again in November to New Orleans. And so much of the success of that, of those tours, is in all of the planning and corralling of all of us that Robin does.
It's a lot, because how many people are in a given production, or involved in a given production, I should say, because it's not just the actors.
So far, performers have been about 4, and then we'll have musicians and lighting designers and sound and all of those things. We took 5 people total down to New Orleans, so myself and 4 performers, and that's a lot. That's a lot to make sure that we're getting on the plane, and
yes, it is.
that we have housing and everything like that. But luckily, because we're ensemble based in our performance creation, we're also fairly ensemble based in our administrative duties as well.
Excellent.
Is that there may be one person sort of captaining something, but the entire group is there to help everyone.
That's great. And you also, speaking of touring, you take programs to the schools in New Jersey, correct?
We do.
What is that program?
If you want to talk.
Sure. So it's Young Audiences. The organization is called Young Audiences. In particular, we work with the branches of Young Audiences of New Jersey and then Eastern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And Robin, so the way that works is schools will peruse a catalog of sorts of different programs that they could bring to their schools. They contact Young Audiences and they say, "We want Acro Action," which is what our program is called.
Right.
And so then they will contact Robin, and Robin will then get in touch with all of us and say, "Okay, who's available? What's can we make this date? Can we make this date? Can we do the 2 performances in one day? That sort of thing." And so then Robin takes the lead on scheduling us and making sure that they're at the right place at the right time.
Nice. And then hopefully at some point you'll be able to bring them to the Philly schools, correct? Is that something that you guys are hoping to do?
Yeah.
I mean, we're always open to doing performances and workshops. Education is important to us.
Yes.
The whole idea, and then also education related directly to being movement based and to being ensemble performers and creators, and to just use your body in ways that you may not have thought you ever could before.
Yeah.
As Nick and Evelyn mentioned about Almanac, that's a way that we can also reach out and educate as well. I'm learning things,
yeah,
acrobatic moves that I did not know I could do.
That's cool.
So it's always exciting to do that.
Maybe I'll take the leap of faith.
Yeah, let's do it.
You should. Sundays.
Every Sunday.
I'm so scared.
Every Sunday. That fear goes away quickly.
There are mats there.
There are, yeah.
There are mats there.
There are mats there.
So,
On Sundays,
okay.
we
Not
wear
that I
mats.
don't trust you guys, but I'm not the the best acrobatically inclined person to talk to about this. Leaps of faith and other mistakes. Big show for you guys. And we'd like to show some clips of the show for our audience. Give us some background on the show, because we haven't talked about that yet, but it's a biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, so Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes was the second large, maybe you could call it a full-length production that Almanac created.
Yeah.
And that was significant for us in a number of ways. One, it was we brought on Josh McIlvaine to be a writer for that, so it was the first time that Almanac had used text, spoken text, in a piece. Communitas is performed without text.
It's all,
and so Leaps of Faith was the first time that we incorporated text, and also Patrick Lambourne created music for that piece. And it was performed in Fleischer Art Memorial in the sanctuary space there.
Nice.
This gorgeous, gorgeous space.
It's beautiful.
And part of the benefit of being able to perform in that space, and the new challenge for us being in that space, and the opportunity, was in how high everything was. So it's the first time that, as a company, we were able to do a 3 high. So 3 people, one person standing on top of each other.
Which is really impressive when you see it.
It's really cool.
It really, really is.
And then there are a lot more tosses and throws that we could have in a space of that size. And that particular piece takes place among a group of people, a seafaring cult of sorts. They're on a boat, and so the space was nice because it was really sort of long and narrow, and it helped to evoke that sort of like nautical feel a little bit.
Yeah. And you have this big couch there. What is
that?
It's really cool. Yeah.
So it's an acrobatic couch.
Yeah. You do all sorts of things with this couch in this video.
We can. Wow. That was our circus apparatus for that piece. Was a couch. Some people have a trapeze. Some people have hanging silks. We have a couch.
Right.
And that it started. We were just playing on a couch, and then that was actually a custom built couch.
Was it?
Yes, the couch that you see.
I was going to say it would have to be, right?
There are
the tricks you guys do.
There are small trampolines in the seat of the couch.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and as you'll see, we jump off it in a lot of ways, and so we wanted to make sure it was sturdy.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Yes.
What is the story of the show? If you could kind of give us like, I don't know, just sort of a quick synopsis of what the story that you're telling is in the piece.
I think it's a little bit of an origin story for us, a little bit. So it does the 4 original creators for it, Ben, Nick, Adam, and Cole. It is a little bit of their origin story of meeting as friends and collaborators. But then there's a really great sort of transitional or like liminal sort of space that crosses over into these characters, also of the same names, who decide to embark on a quest to go out into the sea, into the ocean, to seek spiritual enlightenment.
Yes.
And you find out in the piece, or maybe you don't quite find out, but maybe you're led to an opportunity to see one way or another whether or not that actually happens.
Can that happen?
Yeah.
Yes. That's great. I love this piece, so I think that you guys will love it too. Let's take a look at Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes.
I'm willing to assume we are the only 4 people in the world who do that. I mean, unless we meet someone else, and that would be a pleasant surprise. We should do this more often. We'll hang out, get to know one another, do some acrobatics, or maybe forge a new world in our images.
such impressive work that you guys do. So impressive. And I like that you tackle issues that are sort of like spiritual in nature, that's always something that's incorporated into your work. That it's not just a story as just a journey of beginning, middle, end. That there's sort of quest aspect to it that you mentioned with the seafarers and the company members coming together and forming what they did. Anything else you'd like to say about the show and what you guys felt about it once it was performed? How did people react? What was the feedback that you got from audiences?
People see lots of different things.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I enjoy, and I was able to be on the outside for a lot of it as I was helping to produce the show. So I got a chance to see it evolve over time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think I enjoyed seeing out of it the most, that I think we've tried to continue on, is that idea of spirituality is not something that exists maybe outside of us, but is actually something that is created between people, and is something that that comes to life between people, and particularly in Leaps of Faith and Other Mistakes, part of it is through that physical connection, that physical contact, and the effort that you see people go through to produce these maneuvers and these tricks.
Yeah.
And that was just personally, it was also a really great experience for me when we went to New Orleans. Nick Gillette, who you saw perform in that clip, wasn't able to go with us on that trip, so I learned Nick's track.
Oh, did you?
Yes, very quickly.
Wow.
And it was
no pressure there.
Yeah, certainly no pressure, and wanting to be able to. Nick has very big shoes he had very big shoes that I had to fill.
Yeah.
and so it was a great challenge for me, and to live the thing that I think that we try to bring out in that piece, to live the thing of, okay, now I have to really try to connect with the people in a very present way in this moment, in an intense physicality too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and what was very interesting about specifically the New Orleans tour of Leaps of Faith is that we had a lot of people, audience members, who wanted to stick around and talk with us after the show.
I'm sure.
Who could be for a variety of reasons, but it's always great to be able to talk with people about what work means to them and how they related to it.
Yeah, the work is very powerful, and it hits you somewhere in your soul, in your heart. You're not just watching something take place and being impressed by it. It's also that feeling of, what am I going to take out of this? And, and it may be something totally different than what the artist intended, but it's still big and pretty magical. So thank you guys.
Thank you
for being here, and so glad to talk to you as well. We really got to learn a lot about Almanac and what you do, and also about you as artists. So I appreciate
thanks so much.
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. So good to be here.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Nick, Ben, Robin, and Evelyn for coming on the show. And I can't express how wowed I have been by the work that you do, and I'm sure that our audience will be totally impressed as well. To find out more about Almanac, check out their website at www.thealmanac.us. And please go to Ben's website as well, www.bengrimberg.com, to find out about his and the group's latest endeavors. That's all the time we have for now, but please join us next time on the Philadelphia Cultural Forum on CCP TV, Community College of Philadelphia's educational channel. We will continue to bring you new and exciting artists, such as the ones you have seen tonight. See you soon.